can't help but be happy for somebody that lost everything and get it back again.
Now I'm gonna have to go find something else.
Before I took the long break with my neck, I never had time off.
Did you think you'd be able to wrestle again after you retired?
The first neck surgery went really well. The second kick, I remember being completely paralyzed in the middle of the ring, knowing in my head I'm never gonna wrestle again.
When did you start to be open to wrestling again?
When me and WWE parted ways, a couple of weeks, WWE was calling me again to come back. But then AEW called me and they were like, we'll sign your brother. And that's one of the big catalysts of why I went to AEW.
What went into the decision to not stay with AEW?
I loved my time there, but there was nothing much for me to do.
So you could pop up in WWE.
I could. I miss Paige so much.
What is the moment for you in your career?
My ultimate moment was...
What was the hardest story to put pen to paper with?
This part's really hard for me to talk about.
I'm sorry. Let's talk about something better. What do you feel like you weren't able to do in WWE the first time that you might be able to do now?
Everything.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
I haven't seen you in a few months.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. That red carpet, man.
That was
fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
There was a lot of people
Everybody was there for Queen of the Ring.
Yeah,
everybody.
I loved it. I just loved being reunited with the girls, you know, seeing the Bellas, which I'm going to be doing their podcast actually tomorrow. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. They're killing it, dude.
They
I was
are.
like, I have to tell Bree, she actually did one of my dream hosting gigs yesterday or the day before. She like hosted X Games.
Oh, yeah.
And I love skateboarding and BMXing and stuff, and one of my favorite skateboarders is Nyjah Houston, and I was just like, oh my god, I wish I got to do that too. But I love that she got to do it.
Well, you are a fellow podcaster too.
Oh yeah, new in these streets.
I just subscribed to Rulebreakers on YouTube.
As you should.
Oh my goodness. Good thing there's a table between us here.
Thing up.
Stop it. But everybody watching should subscribe. We'll drop it down below. We'll get you a whole bunch more subscribers.
Hell yeah.
What's been the idea behind the podcast?
So it was actually my idea because, you know, going into the podcast space, it's very like oversaturated, obviously. But then you have people that are success like you, and like, you know, there's the Bellas do really good and stuff. So I'm like,
I say all the time, the best thing about podcasting is anybody can do it.
Yeah.
And the worst thing about podcasting
is anybody can do it.
Do it.
Yeah, exactly. So you really have to try and figure out ways to make you stand out, you know. And I've always loved Jackass, Simple Life, anything that's like kind of physical and putting someone in an uncomfortable position, you know, because then you see like their true, you know, self, right? And so I love that kind of stuff because, you know, we could do a sit down interview and like, you know, I could be a success like you, but then I'm like, okay, but then I'm going to be just like you. So I need to find something that makes me just a little bit different. Yeah. So I was like, we should incorporate torturing our guests a little bit. You know, and so like we're still adding more to it, but we'll be doing the talking and it's really fun. And then we go into a segment where we give them the dog shot collars, you know, or make them eat something weird. And it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, like this stuff that we're trying to incorporate. But we also have to make it translate to the audio space, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Right. But we're getting there. The visual space.
Although just know that still a huge portion of people are going to watch it.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
And the clips will do well.
Oh, yeah. The clips always do really well. We get like millions of views across those, you know, and the audio is doing well. Now we're figuring out a way to like translate. I just have producer Adam, which would be like your job, but he also Zeus. Yeah. So he also helps me interview people and then I incorporate him somehow. And then while someone's getting physically assaulted in the chair,
tortured.
He'll narrate it the whole time. So that makes it easier for people to understand.
What's the thing that would make you uncomfortable if you flipped the table on that, if you flipped the script on that?
You know, not a lot of things make me uncomfortable. Like when it comes to eating stuff, I can eat anything. Like honestly, it takes a lot. Like for example, you know, obviously Jackass. Jeff Tremaine is the creator of Jackass, and he came to WWE once and was like, I want to do this prank show like backstage with the WWE wrestlers, and a lot of people didn't want to be on the list. They were on a no prank list or whatever. And like, I love that stuff. I will do anything. Like I had to do like this fake speed dating thing where everybody was in on it apart from like this one guy who I was doing a speed date with. And so he just thinks he's talking to like a regular girl that's just part of this thing, you know? And the whole time I have the dog shot collar around my leg, right? And then he's like trying to like chat with me and stuff. And like Jeff is like zapping me and I'm just like, ah! like this, and he's wondering why the fuck I'm twitching like this, you know? And then the waiter comes over who was part of the crew too, and Jeff's like, punch him in the face. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this. It was in my ear. I'm so old school. It was in my ear. And so like the waiter comes down and I just go, pop. I pop him in the face and stuff. So I'm like, and then the guy was like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, this chick is fucking crazy, you know? And I was like, sorry, I just got out of jail and stuff. And like, it was a whole thing. But yeah, he would put me in uncomfortable positions all the time. And I just loved it. I loved it. And I actually turned into a menace because they gave me a cattle prod. Like, you know, those things.
Cattle prodder, yeah.
Oh my God, I was a nightmare with that. So they gave it to me. And I was going around backstage and just zapping everybody with it. It was really bad. And then I got Titus O'Neil, who I didn't know was on the no prank list. So I zapped him and he fucking lost his mind. And he's the nicest guy ever. You know how nice Titus is, right? Just an angel. I've never seen him so mad. He didn't speak to me for a couple of weeks after that, but he ended up going up to Vince and telling on me. And then Vince brings me into the office and he was just like, Paige, please stop like assaulting people backstage. And so he thought it was hilarious. But I got scolded for a second. He was like, please put the cattle prod down. Don't do it anymore. I was like, okay, that's fine.
But you finally made good with Titus O'Neil?
I did. And like a couple weeks later, he was back to being an angel to me. I was like, I'm so sorry, Titus. I didn't realize you were on the no prank list. He was like, but why would you want to shock me with a cattle prod? And I was like... So I was younger. I was like 23 or something like that. But I was like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. Like I assaulted a lot of people that day. I'm surprised. Yeah, no, I did. It was really bad. It was really bad. I remember Neville. I did him, and he was like, "That's assault. That's assault." And I'm like, "Oh, stop it!" And then we ran around doing it to everybody else too. Oh my God, that was a nightmare. So anyway, that was like the inspo for the podcast too, because I was like,
just assaulting people.
Assaulting people. Nice. It's my favorite pastime.
And you just asked me to be a guest on your show.
Sure.
Yeah. You should be on the show sometime.
Yeah. We'll take it easy on you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Unless you can handle it.
I'm not scared of much.
Oh.
Yeah.
You say that. If you say that to us, we might have to like...
I had a segment when I hosted a TV show in Florida where like I just gave them my bucket list. And I was like, could I do these things? And they were like, sure. So I swam with alligators. I went bungee jumping, skydiving, drove a tank. Yeah. Like, did all these incredible things.
Yeah, I couldn't do skydiving, actually.
Of course you could.
I did the indoor skydiving, but it was like...
You just float.
They float you in there for like 10 seconds.
And you're like 3 feet off the ground. It's fun.
And then you're like being led out. And I'm like, what a waste of time. I guess I would do it, but maybe that is the one thing. That and bungee jumping is
especially the first time you do it, you're attached to another human. So like... The stakes are like, they're high, right? It's not just you, it's the other person too.
Are you talking about outdoor skydiving?
Actual skydiving.
So have you done it a couple of times?
Yeah, I've done that a few times. The scariest part is honestly not the jump.
Yeah.
It's when they first open the door on the plane and you're 13,500 feet above the ground.
Sounds great, yeah.
And they'd open the door and it's just...
No.
And they're like, okay,
are you ready?
First? And you're like... Oh my gosh, it's right there.
Oh my God.
That's the scariest part.
Yeah, I feel like once you take the leap, then you're just like, well, I can't get off this ride now, so I might as well just enjoy the last 10 minutes of my life.
You're also so high that it doesn't feel like you're falling. It just feels like you're floating.
Yeah?
Because you're so high above the earth.
Oh.
So you're just kind of floating, screaming, ah!
I guess I'd give it a go. I wouldn't say no. I would just be like shitting bricks the whole time.
You'll be fine.
Okay. Fine. All right. Our podcast. I ask you questions while we're floating 15,000 feet from the ground.
Is this the scar from your neck surgery?
So I have two.
I only see the lower one.
I can see it in the TV. There's one right here. This one was my first one, and there was another one up here. So yeah, and they always get confused for hickeys all the time. I'm like... I'm not a hickey girl, but yeah, I remember being in the makeup chair and the girl's like trying to cover it up, you know, and she was like, I got you, sister. And I was like, what do you mean you got me? She was just like, you got hickey. I was like, my fucking neck scar. But yeah, it's bad. This one was like the first one. This one was the second one. The second one healed a lot better. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't go through the back though. The back ones are crazy. The scars are really big and it's way more painful.
What vertebrae did you have fused?
So I did C5 and C6 and then C6 and C7. And I'll have to give you the picture because I have like 6 screws in my neck now. It looks really cool. I'll give you the picture so you can put it up on there.
It's just amazing when you say that you're still able to wrestle.
I know. Like, well, yeah.
Did you think you'd be able to wrestle again after you retired?
No. Well, they told me I'd never wrestle again. So like the first neck surgery I had, you know, that went really well. And then they said, okay, you need to take a year or so out. So that's what I did. And then I came back and I wanted to, you know, I didn't want to look like I missed a step, you know? So when I came back, I was like, I'm going to go full throttle into it. And I was back for like 6 weeks before I got kicked in the back of the neck again. But, you know, I had these newer girls up with me, which was Mandy and Sonia at the time, you know, and for some reason, the producers wanted me to keep taking like the comeback bumps, you know? And I was like, well, we have these new girls. Maybe they can take the bumps for me because I am still fresh out of surgery. But then they're like, no, we think you should do it. And I was like, okay. And I didn't say no. I should have said no, but I didn't say no because I just wanted to like, yeah, I got this. I'm fine. My neck's fine, whatever. And so, yeah, the second kick, I remember, and there's a video on YouTube of it. And like, I lost all the feeling in my legs at first. And then I kind of stumbled and I fell down. Then I lost all the feeling in my arms. And you can see me trying to grab like Mercedes' legs at the time. And I just could not grab them. And then I remember just like being completely paralyzed in the middle of the ring. And then just knowing in my head, I was like, this is it. I'm never going to wrestle again. I already knew. I was like, this is it. Like, I'm done. There's no way. Because just the feeling in my body, it was like electric shock. And then everything went numb. And I was like, I was scared. But I just knew at that point that was going to be it. And then, you know, the ref threw up the X. And then they started bringing out the stretcher. And I just said, like, I am not walking out of this. Like, I'm not going out of this ring on a stretcher. Like, just give me some time. I'm sure the feeling will come back into my body again. So I'm just like laying in the ring. And this is non-televised, but it is on the internet. So you can see it. But like the crowd were just dead quiet. And there's thousands there, you know, all just watching. And they're dead quiet, just watching me lay there. And then all of a sudden I started getting pins and needles. And I was like, oh my God, the feeling's coming back. So I get pins and needles. And then I sat up. And then the whole crowd started cheering, which is really sweet. They were just like, yay, she did it. There's like the girls on either side are crying. And I'm just like, you know. And then I'm like, just take the stretcher away. I can walk out. I'll be perfectly fine, you know. And so I end up getting out and I did walk back. And I was so proud of myself for doing that. I was like, a lot of pride there. I was like, if this is it, I'm not going to be stretched out. I'm going to walk my ass out the ring, you know. And I get back and you know the first person who saw me? Who? Bray Wyatt.
Oh,
my guy, our boy Bray, and he instantly just came up and gave me a hug, you know, and he's like, what happened? He was so stressed out for me. He's like, what happened? You know, you've only been back a little bit. And I was like, bro, that's it. I don't think I'm wrestling anymore. Like, that's it. And then he was devastated for me. And he, like, him and Mercedes, like, both walked me to the doctor's office, you know. And the next day I went to Pittsburgh. They did, like, the whole, you know, Dr. Maroon was the doctor. They checked out my neck and he was just like, you should be completely paralyzed. You should be like, that should have been it. It was like the equivalent to an awful like car crash. Like I got in a really bad car accident and the fluid around my spine, there was just none. There was no cushion there. And that's what the fluid is for, is to protect your spinal cord. And I didn't have it. Like it pinched so tight because my neck just went, snapped all the way back. You know, it was crazy. And he just said, you're never going to wrestle again. There's no way. And I was just like, and I remember calling my mom and dad and I was crying my eyes out. I was like, I can't believe it's done. I'm done. And they were crying because that's my whole family's life is wrestling, you know. I'm just devastated. And then I remember like just coming out of that year and a half where I was, you know, drinking and on drugs and stuff like that. I was like, I can't go back to that. So WWE were amazing. And they instantly put me in a position of general manager, which I was so grateful for. And Vince gave me the opportunity to say goodbye on TV, which is not something a woman usually does, you know, within the WWE back then. No one really got to say goodbye, or it was always like, go to WWE.com and you'll see Eve Torres saying goodbye for the last time. You know what I mean? And so it was amazing. I had the opportunity to be like, I am retiring, you guys. You know, I'm devastated, crying my eyes out in the ring, you know, and the crowd were amazing. And then the next day I was the GM. So, but I knew at that point, sorry, this is like long-winded story, but I knew at that point, okay, I'm never going to wrestle again. That's it. I'm done.
You came to terms with it in that moment?
Yeah. Because you know,
was there a lead up to this that was preparing you for it?
No, I think it's because I had that year and a half where it was completely unhinged, you know, and I hit rock bottom completely and I was the most depressed I'd ever been. I was in a bad spot just with the people around me and then with drugs and alcohol and like the public humiliation from the videos and stuff like that. I was like, okay, I felt rock bottom before. So I knew coming back to WWE when, you know, I got sober and stuff like that, that I would never, ever get to that point ever again. Never. So I just said anything that kind of life throws at me after that, I'm just going to remain positive about it and just continue, you know. And it happened very quickly. Like I was only back for 6 weeks and then something big happened and I was just like, it's okay. I'll be fine. And I was very positive about it. I was very happy. I didn't go drinking. I didn't go do drugs, which was a big thing for me. And I was just like, you know, I'm still alive. I can walk, you know. So I was like, I stayed positive about it. And then, yeah, but I knew like straight from that point, I was like, okay, I'm never going to wrestle again. This is it. And then I just got the confirmation the next day.
This year, as you know, is the first ever 2-night SummerSlam happening in New Jersey. And if you're watching this right now, this could be your chance to win 2 tickets to both nights. Morgan & Morgan is the official law firm partner of WWE, and not only are they giving away 2 tickets to each night of SummerSlam, but the winner also gets $2,000 of cold, hard cash. Just enter at morganwwe.com. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm with more than 1,000 attorneys and 100 offices in all 50 states. Enter now for your chance to main event your own SummerSlam weekend at morganwwe.com.
When did you start to be open to the idea of wrestling again?
I was never open to the idea of wrestling again because I just assumed I wasn't going to do it. So when when me and WWE parted ways, I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with my life now? I can't wrestle. Like, what the hell am I going to do? You know, and I was a little stressed out. But then within like a couple of weeks, WWE was calling me again to come back. Hana was the one that called me. And then AEW called me at the same time. So I was just like, well, what the fuck do I do? Who do I go with? You know? And then WWE was like, if you want to wrestle again, at some point we can check your neck and we'll keep that coin in your back pocket. And I was like, okay. And then I was just going to do a GM role again there. So I was like, okay, that sounds great. But then AEW called me and they were just like, we'll sign your brother. And I was like, okay.
So like a two-fers. So we get Saraya and we get your brother.
Right. And the one thing for me is that I've had an incredible career, but my brother's never had the opportunity to do it. And that's been his dream since he could, you know, tie his boots, you know. And so I just knew at that point, I was like, if I take this opportunity, I don't know if WWE will ever sign my brother, but I know AEW is giving me the opportunity to bring my brother in and he can finally get his moment, you know. And that's one of the big catalysts of why I went to AEW is because obviously you get freedom to do whatever you want. But they were going to bring my brother in finally. You know, I was out here by myself for 13 and a half years without my brother. And he's like, you know, we grew up like twins because we're so close in age, you know, 14 months. And so I was so used to him being around. And then I got the opportunity and he didn't. And it always fucked with me. I felt so bad for him that he never got the opportunity. So having this, I was like, okay, I'm going to AEW. That's it. My brother's coming with me. He's going to move over, you know, and, you know, I'll have my brother back. And so, yeah, that was the biggest thing why I went to AEW. And then, you know, Tony was like, this, you know, see where your neck is at and stuff. And I've been dying to see where my neck is at. It's been over 5 years at this point. So I was like, hell yeah, dude, like, let's do it. But I said, I don't want a wrestling doctor. You know, I want someone, not saying wrestling doctors are biased, but you want someone that is a little bit more timid when it comes to like physical activity, you know?
You're going to be falling down for a living.
Right. So I went to one here in California and he does massive celebrities. I mean, like huge singers, like, you know, you go into his office and they're just A-list everywhere. I didn't realize how many people had fucking neck surgeries around here. So I was blown away. So I was like, okay, if he says yes, I can go back, that means I can go back because he's not going to put his career on the line here for me, right? Because again, he has a roster of just amazing, you know, people. And so we did, this was Halloween in 2021? I can't remember when I went there to AEW. Was it 2022? I'm terrible.
Yeah, you went to AEW in 2022.
Okay, yeah, that was it. Okay, so Halloween 2022, I went and I got an X-ray, a CT, and an MRI, and they all came back amazing. He was like, you have all the fluid around your spine. Your fusions look amazing. And dude, I was over the moon. So I was like, well, what does this mean? He's like, well, that means you can wrestle again. And I was like, and I just started crying again. And I called my mom and dad and I'm like, guess what? You know, and they just started crying too. They were all celebrating because again, wrestling's my family's life. They were all celebrating. I text Mercedes and told her she doesn't have to stress anymore and that I'm wrestling again. And she was over the moon. And I was like, fuck.
Did she feel responsible?
I feel like she does, yeah. And like she went for a really bad depression too because the fans, they can get really hardcore, you know. And I always have said, it's not her fault. it's wrestling, you know, we're not going out there and dancing. Like, it's a physical, like, sport, you know? And so accidents happen all the time. It's like doing live stunt and expecting not to, you know, trip and fall sometimes, you know? And so I never blamed her for it. I was always very outspoken about how, you know, it was never her fault, but she got attacked a lot. And, you know, it doesn't feel good to be the one responsible for, you know, an accident like that. So she went through a rough time, depression and stuff like that, like really, really rough time. So she was one of the first person I called because I was like, you don't have to feel bad anymore. Like, I'm back, you know? And yeah, she was over the moon for me. But yeah, and then at that point I was like, okay, so I'm going to fucking wrestle now? Like, this is crazy, you know? Like, this is wild. And I wish I trained more because Tony was like, all right, you're going to be wrestling in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, I've had 5 years out. Like, how do I get back in the ring again? And I didn't have much time to train or anything because I was traveling for AEW. And then, you know, I was working when I was at home. And I was like, when can I physically go in a ring? And my brother Zach flew over and he took me to a ring a couple of times. And we just, like, you know, tried to get some of the ring rust off. But it was really hard. And I wish the only thing I regret about my AEW run is that I wish I tried harder when it comes to the wrestling side of things. I think I went too easy on myself because I was a little bit worried that something would happen like WWE where I would fuck up and my neck would get hurt again. And I was too overly cautious.
So it was in your head that, you know, because you've been injured before, you might get injured again.
Yeah. It was like a mental thing. I knew my body was fine, but I was just way too cautious. And so, like, if I was to come back to wrestling again, which everybody bugs me about, I love it. I go to signings and was like, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? And I'm like, okay, I want to take this year to do stuff outside of wrestling, but I also want to train. So when I come back, I'm the Paige I used to be and not what I became, you know? So I just want to come back and, like, all guns blazing, you know? I can wrestle again, motherfuckers.
What went into the decision to not stay with AEW?
You know, it got to a point, I loved my time there. I really did, but there was nothing really much for me to do. Like, when I was there, all I wanted to do was help elevate the division. So I'm like, I'll eat a pin here and there. You know what I mean? Like, I'll do it, whatever someone needs. And there was just, I don't think there was much room for me there. Like, you know, you have big stars there. That I just decided that this is probably the perfect time for me to take a step back. Because the only thing left for me to do there would be to wrestle Mercedes, you know, but she already had, like, stuff lined up, you know, all the way up until, you know, All In that they're about to do. So I was like, what am I going to do? Stay at home? You know, like, it's nice to collect a paycheck sometimes, sure, but, like, I'd rather be active and doing something and something I'm really enjoying. You know, that's why I wanted to do the podcast. My book came out, all that kind of fun stuff. So I can put all my energy into that rather than being like, well, when am I going to be on TV next? You know, like, I don't want to have to stress about that. So it was just easier. And Tony was great. He was agreeing too. He was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. You know, so it was like a very nice split, you know, and great business, which is wonderful. And, you know, like I said before, the door's always open for these places, which is really nice. Like, I leave on really good terms. So, but yeah, I feel like my time came to an end. I'm like, what else do I do?
You're a free agent in September? Is that right? Or are you a free agent now?
I'm a free agent now.
I thought I saw something that, like, your contract's not up till September.
No. I'm a free agent now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could pop up anywhere.
I could pop up anywhere.
At any point in time.
Yeah. No, my contract's done. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the one thing that helped is because, like, they gave me the opportunity to walk away from this contract. I mean, not a lot of companies or businesses would do that, you know, but Tony was really, really great about it. So I was like, you can keep paying me or I can just take a hike, you know? Like,
but is it like you can leave, but you can't go to WWE for a certain amount of time?
No, Tony was great.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a clean split. That was it. And
so you could pop up in WWE.
I could.
Tomorrow.
I could, yeah, tomorrow, yeah. Everyone keeps saying that because I know Evolution's gonna pop up soon.
Well,
which for everyone that's not familiar with Evolution, is an all-female pay-per-view that WWE puts on. I was on the first one, wasn't wrestling on it because of my neck, but there is a second one. Finally, I only took them like how long? Fuck.
Would Saraya be there or would Paige be there?
Paige, 100%.
Oh, so Paige would return to WWE.
Yeah, I miss Paige so much.
Yeah,
I tell people all the time.
What do you miss about Paige?
You know. Okay, so again, when I went to AEW, I didn't want to be close to my character in WWE because of the comparisons, you know? I was like, okay. And then I ended up being like a chicken shit heel, with AEW, which is all fun and good, but there's like a ceiling to that. Whereas Paige, I mean, she's generational. I love her. She's like badass, like tough as nails, you know, like just screaming all the time. You know, I loved being her. She was a fucking badass, and that felt like more just like an elevated version of myself rather than doing what I was doing in AEW. But again, that was my decision to be like that. But then I was like, damn, I wish I leaned more into like my original character, but it is what it is. You live, you learn.
You haven't had a match since last year.
Right.
So do you miss it?
Yeah, I do. You know, I do. Wrestling, if you haven't wrestled in a while, it really hurts your body and you forget how much it fucking hurts, because before I took the long break with my neck, I never had time off, right? And so I was wrestling nearly every other day since I was 13 years old. I was constantly in a ring, training, having wrestling matches, traveling, all that kind of stuff. So my body became one giant callus, right? I was just one giant scab, pretty much. And so once my body healed and I took a bump, I was like, oh, this fucking sucks. Like, this hurts. This hurts like a bitch, especially when you have no adrenaline, you know? And so, yeah, having a match after you've had time off, like, you feel like you've been hit by a car. You're just like, oh my God. So I do miss wrestling. I miss the adrenaline rush. I miss entertaining. I miss getting in the ring and feeling like Paige mostly. I miss being wrestling as Paige. But yeah, it's just the feeling that you get afterwards once the adrenaline is worn off.
When was the last time you were in a ring? Was it that match?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been in a ring in a minute. Yeah, I've been booked and busy, brother. But fuck. Yeah, I should get back in the ring again. I really should, just to prepare myself.
Since next year is going to be 20 years since you debuted.
20 years, dude.
Isn't that
It's crazy. Yeah.
You debuted when you were 13.
Yeah, this year. I'm 33 this year. So 20.
So yeah, 20 years.
20 years this year, yeah.
What's your relationship like with wrestling now?
Oh, I love it. I'm grateful for it. It got to me where I am today. So I've only been surrounded by wrestling, so I don't know anything different. I mean, I was like, my mom was pregnant with me, didn't realize. And so she was wrestling since I was in her womb. So I've been wrestling since I was a fetus, pretty much. So
that might be a world record.
Yeah,
yeah.
I slipped out when I was a wrestler. Yeah, I was like, I took my first bump. My mom was getting a gorilla press from Robbie Brookside, actually, which is one of the trainers in NXT. He gorilla pressed her onto the outside of the ring, and my dad caught her. I was like, I blame her for my scoliosis, dude. That's why my back is fucking spooky and wonky. Bastard. But yeah, I've been wrestling since pretty much that long. But yeah, professionally and, willingly at 13 years old.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I don't know any different. So wrestling's my life. I don't know what I'd do without it. I don't think I could ever be without wrestling. I feel like no wrestler ever truly retires too, you know?
Yes.
I mean, look at Ric Flair. Like, all the old school wrestlers are just like, they keep getting like...
Look at all the neck injury folks that have
We all
back.
have neck injuries. Like, I'm in such a good
But look
group.
at
Stone Cold, Edge, freaking...
Daniel Bryan.
Christian. Like, you know, we all got like spooky spines.
But and a lot of those names that you listed were people that you were told you're not going to wrestle again.
Never.
You're on that list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were all in AEW, and I was the one that suggested taking a picture, and it went viral of us three, right? It was me, Edge, and Bryan, and I was like, damn, we're all in this ring together right now, and all of us got told we would never have this opportunity again. I was like, we need to remember this, you know, let's make this a memory. So we took a picture and posted it, and people loved it, you know. It's
pretty wild that like a doctor tells you can't do this ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And then your body goes, actually.
Fucking Wonder Woman, right? I don't know what it was, you know, because they were just like, I don't know how you healed so quickly. And I like to say it's because of like how healthy I was. Because during that 5 years, I was in the gym every day. I was vegan, you know, I like obviously was sober, and I was working really, really hard. And so now I don't go to the gym, and it really sucks. I should get back in there again, but you know, during that 5 years, I was hardcore taking care of myself, like really laser focused on it. And people can say, oh, it's a miracle and stuff like that. But I like to blame it on the fact that I was taking care of myself. That helped, you know.
But like never is a very definitive statement.
Never.
And like, it's not like there is a 0.1% chance you could wrestle again.
Yeah, never.
But how does it go from zero, never, to actually,
you're right.
You're good to go.
Your neck's great.
You could fall down right here.
Yeah.
Take a bump.
Dude, I don't know how that happened. I really don't know. I really have no idea. And it was such a short term too. It's like 5 years. That's it. And that's like, that's a short amount of time in the wrestling world. So I don't know. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I'm just, a robot now, actually. I just have a lot of metal in my neck instead.
Hey, are you ready to come back?
Yeah. I am. You know, I don't want to, like, if the opportunity is there, I'll take it. I won't chase it too hard, you know, because I want to be focused on stuff outside of wrestling. I want to get into a bunch of different things. But if the opportunity arises and I get a call to be like, hey, can you come and do this?
Could you come and do Evolution?
I would, you know, it's like a bittersweet thing because the first one, I couldn't be on it because of my neck. So if I had the opportunity to be on this all-female pay-per-view, of course, yeah, I would think about it.
Well, if you're not at Evolution, maybe it's the Royal Rumble.
You know, I've always had a dream. Royal Rumble too, yeah, sick. I couldn't do the first Royal Rumble either because of my neck.
Okay, look at us.
I would love to. But my dream would be, so I debuted at the Raw after WrestleMania and in New Orleans. And then I retired the Raw after WrestleMania in New Orleans. And I was like, damn, next year was going to be in New Orleans. I was like, that would have been a great time to come back. But then they switched it to Vegas. And I was like, fuck. Well,
they're going to go to New Orleans at some point in time.
Sure.
We don't know if it's next year, the year after, whatever. Sure. Like, it's going to happen, but
yeah.
I don't think we can wait that long.
No, I get asked all the time. Like my sign-ins and stuff like that is literally every person is like, when are you coming back? When are you going to come? And they all want me to come back to WWE. And I was like, I didn't realize you guys like me that much.
What are you talking about?
I get a little like what's the word? I don't know what it's called. You know, where imposter syndrome?
Sure.
Where like sometimes I feel like, you know, because social media kind of makes you feel like that. That's why I have to delete it. And that's why I'm barely on Twitter, right? I'll post and delete it. But
Twitter's so mean.
They're fucking mean, dude. And they make you feel like you're this fucking small and you suck and you all these kind of things.
It's all the people with no profile photos.
Oh, yeah, dude. For sure. Like never had a woman touch their ween ever in their fucking life, dude. It's really bad. But you know, you start to believe it after people keep punching it into you so much. You're just like, okay, like I can either just delete it off social media and ignore it, or there was points where I was just like, do I stop? Am I shit? You know, and so I get like a little imposter syndrome sometimes. Like if I go to my signings, I'm like, no one's going to turn up. No one's going to be there. But then I'll have like the biggest line out there, you know what I mean? And it's really great. But I feel like it's good to be like that. Like you want to have some kind of humbleness about you. I can't walk around and be like, I'm fucking Billy Big Balls, bro. I'm the fucking shit.
I was first ever NXT Women's Champion.
That's right. I mean, I do say that. I am first ever NXT Women's Champion. And the only person to hold that and the Divas Championship.
I know.
Simultaneously. Never lost it.
I know.
Youngest Divas Champion in history.
Keep going.
Oh my God. Debuted on, won a championship on my debut. I'm a big deal. I'm a big deal.
How about winning in front of 80,000 people in London?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was fine, wasn't it? Yeah, no, it was great because I realized I was never supposed to wrestle again. And so, oh, sorry, I'm moving away from the mic. I know Adam would be like my producer. I never thought I'd wrestle again. So that was a special moment. And it was 92,000 technically. I just want to put it out there. 92,000 people, Wembley Stadium in my home
Twitter's
country.
going to be all over you for that.
Oh, Twitter needs to fucking suck. I was about to say suck. Yeah, so there was a lot of people paid. I guess there was like 80-something thousand. Right?
There were a lot of people.
There was a lot of fucking people.
It doesn't
God
matter
damn
what
it.
the
Like,
number
this
is.
Semantics.
A lot of people.
Right? Yeah, and so yeah, I was never supposed to wrestle again, and so having the opportunity to not only be in my home country, but in one of the biggest stadiums in the world and most notorious stadiums in the world, with my family by my side, and winning a championship, it was magical. And and Tony got me Queen. Like the We Will Rock You as an entrance theme, which was fucking amazing. I'm so happy that he managed to pull that off because that's pricey.
I'm sure.
You know, and so I was, it was magical. I sobbed. I was just like, I can't believe. When Tony told me the night before, because he was out, he obviously has a footy team, you know, he has a footy team and an American football team and then also wrestling, right? So he took like his helicopter or whatever for this footy match, came back, and it was probably like 10:30 at night, and we've been planning this match for hours, you know. And then, you know, he was just like, all right, you're up, Rhea. And I was just like, I just started crying. I was like, oh my God, I feel like a fucking idiot right now. But it was just emotional because I just never thought that opportunity would ever come for me ever again. So to be trusted in that position, you know, and having that opportunity was like amazing. I didn't tell my family either. They were surprised.
Oh,
they were all
that's
surprised.
amazing.
They were always asking, like, what's going on? What's going on? And I was just, oh no, like, he hasn't said anything yet. It's like, fucking, it's crazy.
You worked them.
I worked them. So when they jumped in the front row and saw it, and my dad jumps in the ring, and he's like, ah, you know, jumping around, like, trying to get through the ropes and shit. It was like, they were genuinely just over the moon for me.
It's pretty incredible when you look at your career that on one end of the spectrum, you had one of the saddest moments crying in the ring, and then one of the most amazing moments crying in the ring.
Yeah. It's nice to end on a happier note, isn't it?
Right. But isn't that great that like both of those, like what a wide range of emotions. And you had the saddest of the sad and the happiest of the happy, both in a wrestling ring.
I know. It's poetic in a way. Yeah, it was. I'm just glad it was like the opposite. So I had the sad point, and you look out in the crowd and people were crying. You see grown men crying. It was a beautiful moment, you know, because I felt so loved, but also very sad because, you know, I was about to lose everything that I've ever known, to then like coming back and just looking around and seeing people crying for happiness. Like, fuck yeah, she did it. Even the people that fucking hate me in the crowd, you know, the people that hate me, you can't help but be happy for somebody that lost everything to come back and get it back again. You know, not a lot of people can say that they did that.
What is the moment for you in your career?
What kind of moment?
The moment.
No, debuting.
That's the moment?
Yeah, so obviously, you know, NXT was amazing. I got that opportunity to be the first ever NXT Women's Champion, right? And I'm so thankful for it. I was 20 years old. I was a kid, you know, like, it was incredible, and I'm so fucking grateful for it. But my ultimate moment was debuting and winning the Divas Championship, because that's all I ever wanted to be. I wanted to be a WWE diva, and to do it at 21 too, you know? And in that same like day, well, in like just the day before, Dwayne is I'm in his office backstage, and he's like, I'm gonna make a movie on your life. And I'm like, what? And then he's like, and you're gonna debut tomorrow, and you're gonna win the Divas Championship. And I was like, what? And I'm just fucking sobbing, dude. I'm just like, a lot of crying, obviously, but I'm sobbing because I can't believe this is happening at such a young age. I'm like, I never thought I'd get a movie in my life. I never thought I was actually going to debut on the main roster, you know? And so to have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson tell you these things too, you know, he's like a fucking real life superhero, you know, an icon in wrestling and in movies. And you're just like, this is fucking insane. And then he's like, but you can't tell anyone the day before. So I'm walking around like trying to keep my shit together, like waiting for someone to tell me that I'm actually going to be debuting, you know? And I'm just, oh my God, it was so emotional. And then I finally got Fit Finlay telling me, you know, 10 minutes before doors were opening, like, come to the side of the ring. AJ and Tamina need to speak to you. You're going to win the Divas Championship. And I was like, okay, let's fucking do it. And he's like, but no one knows. And I'm like, why do I have to keep like fucking secrets, dude? Like, that's insane. So I'm crying again. And then I go to the side of the ring, and AJ was just amazing. Obviously, everyone knows that I was really close to AJ. She's like fucking my fairy godmother is what I called her for so long. And yeah, she just kind of took me under her wing and protected me, and, you know, and she was like, all right, this is how it's going to go. And she was like, what kind of finish do you want to do? And I was like, well, I do have a submission. She was like, no, you need to 3 count me. That's it. Make it very, like, you know, solidify that shit. So I was like, okay. So then we did like the Paige turner in the ring, but like I didn't explain how to do it properly because I was just too nervous. So it ended up looking like a leg sweep. And I remember coming back and Randy Orton's just like, did you just beat her with a leg sweep? I was like, yeah, I did. But it's like, it's supposed to look differently. But I'm like, who gives a fuck? So yeah, that was probably the most magical moment for me, is finally getting what I've wanted. And I've been traveling since I was 13 years old by myself to all these different countries because all I wanted to do was like get experience for WWE to take notice of me and to finally come over to America. So yeah, I was traveling solo since I was 13 years old. And now 8 years later into my career, which is crazy because I was only 21, 8 years later into my career, I finally got that moment that I've been dreaming about.
So The Rock decides, after seeing your documentary, he wants to make a movie about your life.
Yeah.
Crazy. Fighting With My Family, what an amazing movie.
Thank you.
What do you think's the one thing in that movie that was like the most embellished, where you watched the movie and you went, well, it didn't really happen like that?
You know, when it comes to Hollywood movies, there's a lot of embellishment. But no, the story, the structure of it is pretty much accurate, right? But there's like, NXT wasn't around back then. It was FCW, and it was more like smaller and a little rustier. You know, it wasn't like as grand as they put it in the movie, where it's the NXT now. Like, you know, we weren't in like this big compound. We were in like this small little room that could only fit 2 rings in there. There was only 5 girls, you know, including myself. And, you know, it was a little dusty and all that kind of stuff. So it was like, you know, being at home in England, actually. It wasn't as grand as as it is now. And so, yeah, that part was like a little different. And then obviously Dwayne never met my brother, right? And so having that scene in the movie where he's like, we're backstage and he's like, it doesn't matter. Or, you know, like calling us fucking rejects from Harry Potter and shit. Yeah. He was just like, he included it because he wanted the movie to do good. And obviously he's a big draw, right? But ultimately the movie did amazing. Like, it ended up being the #1 movie in the UK. It was in the top 5 here in America. And we were going up against like Marvel movies and everything. It was insane. Or some kind of movie like that where it was just hot shit kind of movie. And we end up like keeping up, which was amazing. And so, and then also, you know, we had just all these massive like movie companies that joined on the movie too. Once they saw the script, the movie hadn't even gone into production yet. They just saw the script and everyone was like, oh yeah, I want to come on. Like MGM, Film 4, Lionsgate, you know, and then WWE obviously joined on, and you just had so many of these massive companies believing in the movie, which is bizarre.
This episode is brought to you by Blue Chew. Does it work? Well, find out for yourself. They're making it so easy. Your first month is free when you use the code CVV at BlueChew.com. Just sign up there at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part is this is all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. They say there's nothing sexier than confidence. Well, Blue Chew gives you the confidence where it really counts. Make life easier by getting harder. And discover your options at BlueChew.com. Like I said, they've got a special deal going on right now for anybody watching this. Try your first month of Blue Chew for free with the code CVV. You just have to pay $5 for shipping. That's code CVV. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and all of the important safety information. And a big thank you to Blue Chew for sponsoring the show.
What were early conversations with Florence Pugh like? Like, you're talking to someone who's going to play you.
Yeah.
So what are those like? What's she trying to figure out about you?
Yeah. So she did a lot of research online and all that kind of stuff. But we did speak on the phone, and she, you know, I remember the first scene she did, which is like a fucking terrifying scene to do. The first time she went to the LA Staples Center, and it was like after Raw, and the whole crowd's there, and Dwayne had to go out to keep the crowd in the room so we can film this scene, right? And I wasn't there at the time, so they can film this scene. And so, like, he, then, you know, Thea, Zelina Vega played AJ Lee, so she came out and did her thing and stuff. And then Florence is about to walk out, you know, and it's like that movie, like, what the fuck do I do out there? You know what I mean? Like, in the movie. But I was just like, you have to pretend they are not there. I'm like, they are not visible. I was like, if you've done theater acting and stuff like that, your main focus is the cameras, right? Just pretend they're not out there. That's the best advice I can give you. Even though in the Staples Center there's like 20,000 people looking at you and screaming at you, just pretend they're not there. So she was like really scared about it. And that's the first scene in the movie she ever did. And she had to go out there, put a match together, you know, in front of all these people, pretending to be me. You know, so it was like terrifying. She was like, there was these kids screaming like really crazy things at me in the front row. And she was just like, how do you do this? So I'm like, how do you do what you do, dude? It's crazy. But she did an amazing job. And I'm glad that I could talk her through it as best I can. Because, I mean, it's hard to talk someone through it, especially when you're out there, you know? You kind of just have to, like, you forget everything. Like, as soon as you walk through the curtain and you see, like, just the sea of people, and they're either cheering for you or calling you awful names, or some of them shouting some sexual shit at you. You know what I mean? You have to just pretend they're not there, and it's so hard to do. But ultimately, after a while, you get used to it. When you watch the movie, you're like, do I really look like that? Do I really sound like that? Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, she nailed it. She made me look way better than I actually was. I was like, fuck, I'm still scruffy, but like back then, I was a hot mess. I was just this little emo chick with my side bang, you know, gauges and my lip ring and stuff that in. Now I'm more of a Glampire, but I was definitely a
Glampire.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes gave me that name. Actually, we were doing tribute for the troops years and years ago, And there was this girl there, and she was getting everyone's signatures, but she didn't want mine. And she was just like scowling at me the whole time, you know? And he was like, she kind of like looks like you. And I'm like, what? He was like, no, but you're like the glam version. He was like, you're like the Glampire. And I was like, I love that. The Glampire. I'm going to keep that. Yeah. So I ended up putting it in my bio and just kept it there.
What a nickname.
Yeah, Glampire. I was like, I'll take that. Everyone gives me all these nicknames. Like Helen Boots is a nickname from Steve Regal, you know, William Regal. So yeah, all these nicknames are from other people.
And and then it becomes the title of your book.
It sure does. It sure does.
Congrats on this.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. I can't. Oh, it's a pain in the ass though.
What do you mean?
Writing books is so fucking annoying, dude. Oh my God. I love it. I love that I did it, but the process is really difficult.
What was the hardest story to put pen to paper with?
The childhood abuse, probably. And you know, because I didn't really talk about it. It's so hard for me to really. I got brought up in a family where you kind of just like you dusted yourself off and kept going, right? You don't just sit there and bitch and complain or talk about your problems. And so it's been really hard for me to fully open up, you know, when it comes to trauma, especially. I'm like, it happened, but I need to focus on other things now. And so, yeah, it took me years and years to open up to my family about it. And it only happened when I was about 30 and my brother called me and he was crying his eyes out because it affected him really, really bad for a long time. And he called me crying. He was like, Saraya, we need to talk about this, you know? And I was like, okay, let's do it. So we spoke about it and he was like, I'm going to talk to mom and dad about it. And I was like, okay, do it. And then we had like these heart to hearts and they were really bad because there was a couple of times, you know, where the guy would, this part's really hard for me to talk about. It was really hard, you know, because I was trying to do the audio for it and that was probably the hardest chapter to go through. And it took me like all day to get through that fucker, dude. I was like, oh my God, this is so hard.
Yeah.
But no, it's, yeah, that was probably the hardest chapter.
What's the idea that you're, you know, when you're saying the words and writing down the words, it's like you're reliving it.
Yeah. And we had to do it so many times. Like the first time I did it, like I had a ghostwriter and it was really hard to get through with her. And then I had to rewrite the whole book. So then I had to redo it again. And then, you know, I'm reliving it with my brother, Zach, who's a lot more emotional than I am, you know? And so like, it was hard to get through with that. And we had to keep talking about it over and over again. I was like, we can figure this out, bro. Don't worry. Take your time, you know? And then eventually we got through it. And then we have to do the audio too. And I was like, shit, this is so fucking hard, you know?
Yeah, you're like, can somebody else read this chapter?
Yeah. But, you know, Zach, my brother especially, he's my hero, dude. He really is. Like I was trying to say before I had a little break, but he would take it for me sometimes, you know, like when the guy would try and come into my bed, Zach would tell him to come to his bed, you know, so I could have a break, you know, and he's a superhero before, and he was so young too. Again, there's only a year between us, you know, and being so young and strong like that and like kind of taking some of the trauma away from me, I'm just like, he's just my hero, you know.
Your book like reads like you've had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Mm-hmm. When you were planning this out, is it like, all right, well, there's some stuff I don't want to put in there or there's some stuff I don't want to highlight? What goes into that decision? Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of people ask about like a certain relationship that I was in. And again, I'm not going to say names or anything like that because it's easier, but I just felt like the main focus would go into that relationship. And I wanted people to actually understand my full story and like take in my story. Because right now with this book, people have had to put it down a few times because it gets really intense. And I'm like, I didn't want something to overshadow my life, you know? So there's moments like that where I'm like, okay, I'll take that out. And then there's like, there's still stories that I just forgot about that I didn't put in there. And like, fucking hell, like you just forget, shit all the time. So yeah, the decision making and I, you know, asked my team and stuff like that. Like, do I put that in there? And they're just like, there's no point right now to put that in there. Let's just focus on your life and make this about you rather than someone else.
So when you're getting a movie made about your life in your early 20s,
you're
writing a book about your life in your early 30s. This is like book.
What am I going to do in my 40s?
Yeah, what's next?
Yeah. I don't know. You know, that's the exciting part is that everything's so unexpected that comes along, you know? And so like, I'm excited. I didn't think I was going to be taking another break from wrestling and to focus on a podcast, but the podcast is doing really well.
So what's the main thing occupying your time right now?
Probably the podcast mostly. And like, I do a lot of Zoom calls and stuff like that, but it's exhausting. As you know, you've done this for years. Like, and I don't know if you do the bulk interviews, but I do bulk interviews too. So I just went to Florida and I was there for like 3.5 days and we shot so many episodes and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that takes a lot of my time. You have meetings every week about it, and then you have meetings with like Odyssey, you know, the other part of the podcast and stuff. And then I'm still doing media for the book still right now. And yeah, so a lot of my energy is going into that because I want it to be a success, you know, and I want it to do good. So hopefully it does.
Well, the book's this like thing that will last on forever.
Yeah.
And that's the amazing thing about the written word is someone can pick this book up in 5 years or 50 years and still be inspired by your words.
Yeah. That's the main point of the book is I don't want people to ever feel sorry for me. That was never the reason for me to write the book. I want people to like know if they're going through the same thing that there is, you know, there is a positive light at the end of the tunnel, you know, and you can be the happiest you've ever been. This year, I never knew really true happiness, I guess, until this year. And I say it to people all the time. There's something that clicked this year where I finally feel just genuinely so happy with my life. And it took, and I, you know, took going through all that. And I thought I was happy previously. And I thought that's like the peak of happiness. But no, like this year, this is the happiest I've ever been in my life. I love that for you. Yeah. No. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
And it can only keep getting better too.
Exactly. We're only like, what, 6 months in, you know, and it's like, it's been going great.
Half a year left.
I know. Time flies when you start getting older. Let me tell you, I'm just like, what?
Don't even talk to me about that.
Oh my God,
You're still so young.
Oh, thank you.
You're 32.
Yeah.
Most wrestlers aren't even in their prime.
I know.
Think
Been there,
that.
done that. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. 20 years is crazy. It's crazy.
But think about like, if we talk about the legends in this business, most of them didn't have their best work, their best matches till their late 30s.
Yeah. Well, you look at Diamond Dallas Page and he didn't get into WWE until his 40s, right? Or he's 40 something.
He was 35.
Yeah.
Is when he debuted in WCW.
That's crazy to think about.
Yes.
You know, so just, I just know now like age is a lot different these days. And, you know, being a woman in the entertainment industry, you don't have to be 21 anymore. Like you can be like, you can have a little, you know, age, I guess.
How long do you want to wrestle for?
Oh my God, you know.
20 more years?
No, I don't want to be like 53 in the ring. You know what I mean? People are just like, go home. It's time. Go to bed. You know? No, I don't want to be like that. Unless I look great still by that point, you know, and I can still go. My mom can still go.
Okay.
She's fucking kicking ass. Yeah.
She's your mom, so.
Yeah. She could be 54 this year and she's still like bagging and shagging everybody in the ring, you know? Yeah, she's kicking ass. She's amazing.
No reason you can't be.
That's true. She's an inspo.
Do you have a number in your mind though?
Oh, dude. I want to go, I think I can squeeze 10 more years at me. Yeah. 10 more years on and off. Yeah. But we'll see.
That's a crazy thing to say when a handful of years ago you were told you could never do it again.
Yeah.
And now you're going, I'll just do 10 more years.
Yeah, why not? And I, you know, I have control of my life too. So if I want to take time off, I can take time off, which is nice. Yeah,
10 more years could be a match a year. 2 matches a
year. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I have the doctor to back me up on it. I'm like, listen, just let him know. Give me a doctor's note. You know, and he'll be like, I got you. There you go. She can't wrestle today.
But after all of this, wrestling is still your first love, your main love.
Yeah, I love wrestling. I will never 100% walk away from wrestling. Like, that's just all I've known. That's all I ever want to know, you know. I love it.
What do you feel like you weren't able to do in WWE the first time around that you might be able to do now?
Everything, dude. There's like, they're having stipulation matches and shit like that. You know, when I was there, we we're beating down that door to get the opportunities to do that. And I'm so happy that, you know, we kind of lit the match for the revolution to happen and for women after us to be able to have these opportunities, you know? And so, yeah, I want to like, I want to have these I want to do Money in the Banks. I want to do Royal Rumbles. I want to do like, you know, on the indies, I used to do hardcore matches all the time and death matches and shit like that before I came over to America. So I was getting fucking staples in my head and like, you know, getting hit by glass bottles in fucking middle of Germany. It was like, I love that kind of stuff. So any kind of stipulation is my dream. I want to be a part of that, you know.
Weren't you told during that era to like tone down your style?
Yeah. So I came in and all I had been wrestling is guys because there wasn't a ton of female wrestlers back then. And so I got trained by guys. I wrestled like a guy. Like, you know, I was like a dude, you know, in the ring. And that was another thing that Bray would crack up about. He's like, you wrestle like a dude. And I'm just like, yeah. Like, and I got told I had to tone down because I was a little too tough on him. So I had to like pull it back. And so like I kind of had to adjust to like the diva style of wrestling, which I'm glad it's different now. But yeah, I had to adjust. And then I had to relearn how to be tough again after that.
So what would the diva style of wrestling look like?
So Vince looked at it like you had to wrestle like a girl. A lot of hair pulling, the diva roll up, you know, a lot of just like wrestling kind of catty rather than, you know, throwing punches like a dude and stuff like that, which again, everyone gets to do that now. And it makes me so happy because it was exhausting because one week he'd be like, yeah, okay, I want you to do more hair pulling. And then next week he's like, stop doing that. You know, so you just like, you constantly had to live by what he was thinking that week, but it was always, you have to wrestle like a girl. And it was so frustrating because I never wrestled like a girl in my life.
It's changed so much.
Yes, and I love it. Like the girls, I feel like are outshining the guys like 9 out of 10 times. And I'm not trying to be biased because, you know, my gender. But the girls are killing it, and I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud.
So are there some dream matches still in WWE?
You know who I get all the time? I always get Rhea to either be a tag team partner, you know, the original goth sister to like the now the ultimate goth sister. So I'd love to be in a team with her or wrestle her because that's what people want. I would love to wrestle Mercedes down the line because it's a built-in storyline, you know. All the girls now, they're all superstars, dude. Like I would get in the ring with anybody at any point in time. They're all amazing. Probably Natty again. I love Natty. I've wrestled her a billion times, but oh my God, you never.
There's a reason they call her the boat.
She is the boat.
She's so good.
And I love that she switched up her character recently and she's more like tough as nails. Like, you know,
she's saying Natalia is one person, but Natty is somebody completely different.
She's tough. If I had a bar fight, I would take that bitch with me. Yeah, she's tough as nails, dude. And everyone always thought she was a sweetheart. She is a sweetheart.
Yeah.
You know, she's a fucking diamond, the sweetest person ever. But she can throw some punches, dude.
Yeah, she's trained in the dungeon.
Yeah, and she does like MMA and shit like that. You know, she'll pretzel you in no time.
It's funny you mention a bar fight. There's like 80 bar fights in your book.
Oh, dude, I got in so many bar fights over the years. There was one that ended up in TMZ with me and Foxy, actually. We went to like a bar and then someone spilled a drink on Foxy and then it just escalated and there was like all these girls trying to kick her ass and shit. Like, that's why I don't drink anymore. Too many bar fights.
Talk to me about this promo early on when you were in developmental. You cut a promo on Roman Reigns.
Liaki, that was his name back in the day. Yeah, Liaki.
And a toaster.
Oh my God. You know, rest in peace, Dusty. I fucking loved him so much. But, you know, the promo classes were difficult. And you had to learn to adjust on the fly, which I'm grateful for because I had that experience once I got on the main roster. But we'd have promo classes where we'd have to like cut these promos. But then he'd be like, yeah, it wasn't good enough. So here's something you talk about, go. And so he goes, Liaki, baby, get up, go sit next to Paige, you know. So he gets up, he comes and sits next to me. And then he was like, okay, Paige, baby, he's your ex-boyfriend. He dumped you and stole your toaster, go. And
it's like an improv class.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, fuck, like, what do I say to this guy? So I'm just like, I just met him, you know, as well. Like, I've only been, you know, with WWE within like 2 weeks or something. I was already cutting these promos. I was like, hello, stranger. I have to pretend you're my ex-boyfriend who stole my toaster. So I just start like talking to him and I'm so embarrassed. Because he's like a big, strong guy, you know.
Hey, it's Roman Reigns.
It's fucking Roman Reigns, dude. He's like fucking Hercules. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm looking down. He's like this guy.
Maybe he was sitting.
Yeah. Oh, God. And he made me do a bunch of stuff like that. Like, he was like, okay, Paige, baby, you open a letter. So, and then he was like, you have to go through all your emotions while reading through his letter. Again, I'm getting dumped constantly, apparently, because he's just like, you know, your boyfriend's dumping you. And I'm like, fuck, all right. So he was like, you have to go through happy, sad, you know, emotional, angry and stuff. So I'm like, okay, but I'm not allowed to say a word either. So you have to do it all through facial expressions. So I'm just like looking through it and I think I'm like doing a good job. Yeah, oh, fuck, I was so embarrassed. And then he would be like once I was in it for like a year, you know, at that point. So I was really comfortable with Dusty. And he was just like, okay, I want you to limit what you say. I want you to be more mysterious, right? So I was like, okay. And so he wanted me to cut these like certain length promos, but then I couldn't say anything. So I was just like, well, what the fuck? How do I do this? So I remember I was so tired one day and so fucking cranky. And I was like, I'm fucking done with this. So I come in, I cut a shit promo. And then in front of everybody, he was like, I asked for chicken dinner. You give me chicken shit. And I was like, fuck you, Dusty. And I fucking walk out, fucking stomp up to the girls' locker room, slam the door. And like, I just hear like a knock on the door. You know, and he was like, is my porcelain princess in here? And I was like, go away, Dusty. I don't want to talk to you. He was like, get out here. So I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have, because he's my boss, you know, I shouldn't have talked to you like that, Dusty. I'm really sorry. He was like, it's okay, baby. He was like, come sit down. So we sit on the steps and he just said to me, like, he was like, I want you to be a success. Right. And he was just like, you have to give 110% every single time, even if it's in front of your peers, even if it's in front of 5 people in the crowd, you have to give 110%. And he was like, I'm always going to be honest with you, whether you like it or not. And I understood. I was like, I'm sorry. You were completely right. I was out of line. You know, I came in half-assed my promo and did a bad job. And he said that I was like his broken toy compared to the rest of the divas, you know, because I was like the little misfit of everybody. Again, the women were beautiful, blonde hair, tanned. Like, I was this pale little fucking goth chick, you know. And he was like, you're like my broken toy, baby. I just want to fix you and put you back together again, you know. And I was just like, yeah, you're right. I miss Dusty so much. Rest in peace. Been like 10 years,
that's
dude.
That's a great story.
I know. Oh no, that was it. He goes to me, he's like, nobody calls me a motherfucker like that. And I was like, you're so right. I'm so sorry, Dusty. I should not have called you a motherfucker in front of everybody. But I was very mad at him. Oh, I love him.
What's the one piece of advice you still take with you? Every promo, every match. What it might not be from Dusty, but just in general. Might be from your mom or dad growing up in this industry. You
know, it was always from Dwayne, dude. And he says this all the time. Oh, and another one too. And who was this? Well, Dwayne always says, stay humble and hungry. Humble because you want to be able to, like everyone, because you go up a ladder and eventually you come back down again, right? And you want everyone to be able.
It's the same people, right?
Yeah, you come down and you see the same people. If you're a piece of shit to that person, they're not going to help you get back up there again, you know? So you always want to be humble. Hungry because you don't want to get complacent. And there was some parts of my life where I did get complacent and I wasn't trying. He was like, you always have to set goals. And once you reach that goal, it's not good enough. You have to get to the next goal. And if once you reach it, not good enough, keep going. So like, that's another thing. And save your money. Because once you start getting money and once you start getting a paycheck, you're like, ooh, this feels good in my pocket, but I want to spend it, you know? And so being young and having like, you know, these paychecks coming in, I was very excited about it. I spent a lot of it on drugs and alcohol and all my friends, which I'm so happy I don't do that anymore. But yeah, I was, save your money is like a big part of it. So I always tell people that. And then another one is we only have a certain amount of bumps on our bump card as wrestlers. And I wish I paid attention to that a little bit more because I loved taking bumps, but ultimately it fucked my neck. And so I try to tell people now you don't have to bump as much. But now the wrestling these days, you bump so fucking much and you take crazy neck bumps and do all these crazy things and like power drivers and all that kind of stuff, which I'm still quite old school. I'm like, I love that style of wrestling, but if we can incorporate a little bit less of that and more storytelling, I mean, fuck, that'd be amazing. Just don't fuck up your body so quickly. Well,
you're at the point in your career where you can make those calls, right?
Yeah.
You can get into a match and say, I'm only going to take 3 or 4 bumps here.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, I'm going to work this fucking crowd, brother. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go in there and and I promise you, we will go in that match and we'll get the loudest crowd ever by doing so much less. Yeah. And again, I love that style of wrestling. I couldn't do it. There's no way I could wrestle like fucking Will Ospreay or something like that. Like there's a reason why he is and why he's a big star, right? Because a lot of people can't do what him and Kenny Omega and everyone can do.
Yeah.
I know my place and I know that I can't do any of that kind of stuff. But I know that I'm a great storyteller and I will get the crowd eating out the palm of my fucking hands by the end of this match. I promise you, I'll go out there and get like, even if they're fucking dead quiet at the beginning of the match, halfway through, they're fucking lightning.
You've had so many huge pops in your career. What do you think's number 1 on that list?
Oh my God, huge pops. Yeah, so I again, that's where the imposter syndrome comes in because I always think, people haven't seen me a while. If I come out, there's going to be crickets. They forgot who I am. But they're always so fucking loud, bro.
Of course.
Like, oh my God.
Hey,
so
you're Paige.
I'm Paige. I'm Paige, bitch. Oh my God. So yeah, the reactions.
It's your house.
It's my house. one of the loudest reactions I got was probably AEW. That was a big, big monster reaction. Like, I cannot believe the sound in that place. Coming back after the neck injury was massive too. Those two are probably the biggest pops that I got, you know. Oh, and the first time walking out in England, not for Wembley, but like in WWE for like a Raw or something like that. They were singing my song and stuff like that. I was just like, fuck, this feels really nice. This feels really nice. But yeah, which one's my favorite? Fuck, it's really hard. It's really hard because for different reasons I love them, you know. But maybe coming back after 5 years is probably the biggest pop I ever got.
AEW Grand Slam.
Yeah.
It was loud.
It was fucking loud, dude. I couldn't believe it. Like, there was people all the way up in the fucking nosebleeds that are just like fucking like screaming. And there was reaction videos and I was watching them when I got back and I was like, oh my God. I cried in the airport. Always crying, man. You guys make me feel something.
How did Excalibur not know how to say your name?
Bastards. It was Taz too, you know? Yeah, so...
They said it like 9 times.
You know, no one knew I was going to be there. So, like, no one really knew me as Saraya because I always got people to call me Paige because I never wanted anyone, because I wasn't going under Saraya for years. I wanted that to be just mine. So if you're a friend of mine or family, you call me Saraya or Raya. But then I was like, no, I want to rebrand myself as Saraya, as myself, right? And kind of take the reins of my life a little bit. And I never told anyone how to pronounce it. So everyone, especially in America, you fuckers, you call me Raya. And I'm like, oh. And I got bullied in school because in school they would call me psoriasis.
That's so mean.
Oh my God, it was torture. And my last name was Beavis. And for some reason, so it's Saraya-Jade. And then for some reason, my family wanted me to have my other granddad's last name too. So it was Frary-Beavis. And so they would call me Psoriasis Furry Beaver. For so long in school.
I'm not laughing.
You are. And then so I took the Frary off because I'm like, why is there 2 hyphens in my name? And just kept it for Beavis. Luckily, I don't have a middle name, but yeah.
The story behind Saraya is amazing.
Yeah, my mom was on drugs at a Slayer concert in the 80s, and she misheard Slayer for Saraya, and that's how I got my name, which I love.
She thought Slayer was Saraya.
Yeah, she was tripping on acid. Yeah, she was tripping on acid. Yeah, she was fucking...
So your name should have been Slayer.
Should have been Slayer. But anyway, this recent sign-in... this lady comes up to me and she was like, my name's Saraya too, spelled exactly the same. And I was like, did our parents go to the same concert? Yeah, it was funny. She was like, do you want to take a picture with me? And I'm like, okay. You know? I can't believe it.
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you for making this happen.
Yeah, no problem.
Congrats on all of your success. Congrats on the success of the book.
Thank you.
And it sure sounds like we're going to see Paige again at some point soon.
We'll see. We'll see. I hope so. I hope so. Down the line, if an opportunity arises, like I'll definitely think about it.
Down the line in wrestling is like tonight.
It could be tonight. I know everyone's always being like, are you gonna be?
It is a Monday. We are recording this on a Monday.
Yeah. But they're not out here, are they?
No.
Anytime that I have a sign-in that's even close to Raw or something like that, people are just like, she's coming! And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to the signing. Well, maybe one day. We'll see. We'll see. My contract is done. I'm done. I am a free agent.
I think was not clear.
Yeah, I don't think that was clear either. But no, I'm done.
It's clear now.
It's clear as day, baby.
You're going to start getting a lot of bookings.
Oh my!
If you want them.
Wrestling bookings, probably not. Like I've had people reach out. Wrestling bookings. You know, I've had some wrestling bookings, but I haven't I just haven't pulled the trigger on it because I just wanted to like not do wrestling for a little bit.
Have you lost some of your accent living here?
Yes, I have. You know, yes, I have. I go to England and my dad's like, you're a fucking Yank now. But then when I come over here...
When you're here, people are like, you sound very British.
Or Australian.
Australian?
Yeah, I get that all the time. They're like...
Those are from people that have never been to Australia.
Sure. And then they're just like, oh, are you from London? And I was like, no. Like, are you from Dallas? Like, yeah. Are you from New York?
Like, do I sound like I'm from London?
Right. It's just, do I sound like I'm from London? Yeah, there's, everyone always thinks there's only one place in England. It's just London. And that's the whole island, you know? But it's just like, no, there's other places. There's other areas, you know? And they're like, do you know Ozzy Osbourne? I'm like, I know it's small, but we don't all know each other either. Yeah, me and the Queen, we were like that. Rest in peace to my girl.
You still sound very English.
Thank you. Thank gosh. Yeah, thank you.
I don't sound very Canadian anymore.
Yeah. What?
It's gone.
Do you still say it boot hoose?
No, well, I wanted to be able to work in America, and I didn't want people to be like, hey, you are not from here.
Yeah.
So when I moved
well, that
here,
makes you unique, though.
it does.
Yeah.
But when I moved here, it was like I stopped saying a boot and house. Sorry.
Oh my God, that's like one of the biggest things for Canadians is saying sorry constantly.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
So I say sorry. Sorry now.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
Progress.
Sorry.
You still say sorry a lot. You just say it in an American accent now.
I'm sorry. I say sorry a lot.
Yeah, Canadians are very nice like that, aren't they? They're just always just sorry
That's what
about
we're known
everything.
for.
Yeah, just apologizing.
Apologizing and playing hockey.
Yeah, you know, hockey's badass though. You guys have no teeth because of it. It's the cool. Like you guys you physically fight each other on the ice.
Isn't that crazy? And then you just sit in the penalty box for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Come back out, have another fight.
I watched a documentary before, and they were saying that the first fight that happened, it was scripted, like wrestling.
What?
Yeah, it was scripted, and it's someone within wrestling or whatever. They're just like, listen, we need to get a crowd in to watch these hockey games, right? And they were just like, what we should do is like, someone got in a fight the week before and it got the crowd hype, and they were just like, we should do that again. You know, someone was like, I'll take a freaking, you know, one of those bats to the face or whatever it is. And they got in a physical fight, and everybody started tuning in to come watch it, and like they were filling up all the arenas.
Yeah, they joke now. Like I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out.
Yeah,
that's what they'll say.
So now there's a fight. There's a fight in the crowd. There's a fight in the thing. Like everyone's just fucking UFC.
Well, a lot of times in hockey now, like we'll be at a face-off, like standing across from each other, and be like, "You want to go?
You want to fight, bitch?" Like, yeah.
When they drop the puck, you down?
Yeah.
And then you drop the gloves, and
then afterwards you're like, "Sorry."
Yeah. So sorry about that.
Sorry about that. Anyway, round two.
Yeah, we'll make this happen again another time. Thank you for making this happen.
Yeah.
I'll ask you the question. I think I asked you last time you were on the show, but it's a question I ask everybody at the end.
Oh.
Because gratitude's such a huge part of my life.
Yes.
So, Saraya, what are 3 things you're grateful for right now?
My health, my happiness, and my dogs.
What are your dogs' names?
Lobster, Ozzy, and Roxy.
Lobster?
Lobster. I love Friends so much, and Phoebe would say about Ross and Rachel, she'd be like, he's her lobster.
Yeah.
So he's my lobster. Yeah.
Those are some sweet names.
They are. Yeah. You got Paulie the bird too. He's batshit crazy. Yeah. Text him all the time.
Well, here it is. Saraya.
Yay!
Helen Boots, clawing my way through 9 lives. What life are you on right now?
Oh my God. I don't even know, dude. I might have to start from scratch again.
You've gone through all 9 of them?
I've gone through all 9 of them. By the sounds of it, yeah. Shit. I've been through it all. Sorry, brother. All right. Well, I'll figure out another title for the second book. Calling my way through another 9 lives.
There it is.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Oh yeah, thank you so much.